Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time I left off right here with the Japanese surrender on Namur Island. We're now on to AAF over Germany at dawn. February 15th, 1944. AAF over Berlin. On February 15th, the AAF made a very large-scale dawn attack on Berlin. Over 1,000 aircraft dropped 2,500 tons of bombs at a rate of 80 tons a minute. The ground defenses were active, but little fighter opposition was met. Large fires were started, and the smoke clouds rose 4 miles high. The communications of the city were put out of action. The top escorting fighters on the raid show fantastic vapor trails. See all the vapor trails of them fighters. This is a weird looking picture. Just for the time of day it is and stuff like that. It's just weird. And then the bottom, incendiary bombs dropped towards their targets. Look at all those bombs. Look at them. They look like sticks being thrown down into the snow almost. Just the amount of bombs is ridiculous here. Okay, so now for the next page, my hand's going to be covering two of the people. One of them, she's just an unfortunate cover, but the other one is a little too risque for YouTube. Let's go with that. Good neighbor policy in the Pacific. February 1944. My bad. In the New York tradition, a member of the Fighting 69th opens 2 cans of sea rations containing cookies and candies and presents them to a native girl and her mother walking along the road. Between 2 villages on the eastern end of Makin Atoll in the Gilbert Islands, an American-occupied base ceased the bitter fighting with the Japanese in the later part of November 1943. Macon had been raided earlier in the war, although no attempt was made to take it. So that's the native girl, and that's her mother. Her mother is a little too risque for YouTube, so sorry, can't show this video, or can't show the picture. Casino takes a lacing. February 6th, 1944. Ancient Abbey in the news. Smoke rises from the Italian town of Cassino during the bombardment by artillery of the 5th Army, February 6th, prior to the bombing by flying fortresses of the ancient Benedictine Monastery, shown at the top right there. 9 days later, the Nazis had been using the ancient monastery as a lookout post from which to direct artillery fire and as a shelter for the gunners. The American demand debated many days before leveling the monastery. So obviously, as we know, that's not fully true. There was potentially some Germans that were there, but not like what was reported here. This is just a lie. Obviously, they are going to lie because, well, yeah. A monastery is wrecked. February 15th, 1944. Modern Dante's Inferno. Taken from a US AAF reconnaissance plane a few minutes after the last wave of bombers had turned away from the record-breaking aerial assault on the Benedictine Monastery atop Mount Cassino, this picture provides graphic evidence of the devastation wrought upon the Nazi bastion by hundreds of tons of high explosives. This partial view of Cassino, the Abbey, surrounded by smoke, shows that not one structure remained untouched by the Allied bombs. The Abbey was in ruins. So yeah, you can see just absolute devastation. So, as we know now, there was no Nazis there. As far as we know, there was just innocent civilians, basically. There were some Germans nearby, but not in the monastery. So this is just bombed for no reason, really. And obviously, they're trying to paint it here as, oh, well, it was a Nazi bastion, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It really wasn't. And it's just unfortunate. It really is. It is a blight on something that shouldn't have happened. It's just a blight on this war that the Allies did. Something that they should have just admitted was wrong. Bombs rain on Japan's Pearl Harbor. February 16th, 1944. Truk in flames. Hard on the heels of the smashing U.S. victory at Kwajalein, and 26 months after Pearl Harbor, the United States paid the Japanese back in kind. Although, without the peacetime sneak attack element. At dawn on Wednesday, February 16th, several hundred American planes flying from carriers swooped down on Truk, which is to Japan what Hawaii is to the United States, and rained bombs down on the enemy fleet. Sitting in the Placid Lagoon on December 7th, 1941, a few more than 100 Tokyo planes took part in the attack on Pearl Harbor. Our armada that blasted Truk on this February morning must have been as much as 3 times as large. Escorting the carriers on the raid was a powerful naval force, including battleships, cruisers, and destroyers. The attack on Truk was more than a raid. It was a challenge to the enemy fleet to come out and fight. The challenge was not accepted, and the task force assault on February 16th and 17th ended the legend that the Carolinas base was invulnerable. Some idea of the terrain of the Japanese base and the extent of its formidable installations can be gathered from this official United States Navy photograph taken during the Great Raid. 40 ships were sunk or damaged, and 201 planes were destroyed. But still remaining were the extensive airfields, troop concentrations, and installations portrayed in the picture. In the harbor, a flotilla of Japanese vessels of varying sizes huddles under the rain of the U.S. Navy bombs, while the largest ship smokes from a hit forward. So we can kind of see it there. It's been bombed pretty hard all around here. And yeah, the Americans are going to hit this as hard as possible. If they think of this as Japan's Pearl Harbor, they are going to use all of their Navy might to smash into this, basically. And from just the picture alone, you can kind of tell it was mighty effective. A Japanese warship goes up in smoke. February 16th, 1944. Caught on the run. A towering column of black smoke marks the sinking of a Japanese patrol vessel blasted by the 5-inch gun of a United States warship as the enemy craft was fleeing from Truk Harbor. The patrol craft was one of 40 ships sunk or damaged in the 2-day raid on what was supposed to be the impenetrable Pearl Harbor of our Tokyo enemy. Yeah, they're showing it's not so impenetrable. But yeah, you can see the big black smoke. So that ship, they probably hit the From what I would assume, they probably hit the ammunition area. And unless it didn't have any ammunition, then they hit the fuel potentially. But yeah, you can see that thing is just billowing black smoke into the air. Einwittock Falls, February 18th, 1944. Another stepping stone. Swooping down to within 100 feet of the ground, a U.S. Navy plane from one of the aircraft carriers supporting the invasion snapped this action photograph of the seizure of Einwittock in the Marshalls. The atoll was captured on February 19th, 1944, by a combined force of Marines and infantrymen. In this picture, a giant shell hole in the sand affords admirable cover for Marines advancing across the atoll against the beleaguered Japanese defenders. Outlined in its own ashes are, at the left, is a wrecked two-motored Japanese plane. So we can see, obviously, Marines all kind of huddled up in this shell hole. Can't tell what that is, but yeah, they're all huddled up in there, shooting down. Is that what they're talking about, is the plane? No, right here. Duh. Right here. Here's the plane. You can see it down. And from what it looks like, the Japanese would be up here, I believe. It's hard to fully tell. Yeah, probably around here. But this is a neat picture. It's cool that they were able to get this. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I could improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.